Yes, I think you need to practice 3-point layups and floaters, and I'm going to share with you why. This is something I started doing in my teens, and it added way more to my game than you'd expect in a lot of ways that you wouldn't expect. First, I'm going to explain all the ways it'll help you expand your game and open up new opportunities in game situations. And then in the second half of the video, I'm going to show you the 4 different types of layups, floaters, and runners that you should practice. Some of them most people never think of, and then I'm going to show you how you should practice them, how much you should practice them, and then at the very end, I'm going to show you how to instantly, literally in seconds, make more of these 3-point layups and floaters. So one thing I want to make sure is clear is you don't want to just start doing this from the 3-point line. It's something you want to work your way out to. So start close and gradually work your way out. How far is too far? Well, I'll have more for you on that at the end. The first and more apparent reason that I recommend players work on 3-point layups and floaters is it simply makes the closer ones feel a lot easier. It'll build your confidence and it'll just actually be easier. And the reason for this is simple. To get that shot off from further away, it's going to require a little bit more power and coordination. And think about it in terms of accuracy. When you're further away from the rim, if your hand placement or your timing on the release is off just by an inch or a millisecond, that could cause your shot to be off an entire foot. So it'll really help you hone in on your targeting and accuracy. Now, if you're not comfortable with your layups and floaters right by the rim, then you wouldn't even want to go out to 15 feet. But once you start getting a little more comfortable at 15 feet, then from there, maybe you could move out to the 3-point line. Again, at the end of the video, I'll have more specifics about how to know when it's time to move to the 3-point line. And then another of the more apparent benefits is that if you move further away from the hoop and start becoming comfortable, then guess what's going to happen? Well, you're going to extend that range in game situations, and that's going to open a whole new world of opportunities. First of all, if you're making those layups and floaters from that 3-point range, well, then making them from 15 feet is going to be a lot more easy and comfortable. Just like if you work on them at 15 feet, it's going to be more comfortable and easy really close to the rim. It adds that option to your game, and that'll be really helpful for a couple different situations. Number one, if there's a big man sitting in the paint and you see that he's there, you can just get that layup or floater off all the way back at 15 feet and you don't have to deal with them. Another situation is, what if you have a defender to your side and going into your jump shot is going to slow you down a little bit. It's going to give your defender time to jump in front of you. But if you go into a layup or floater, that allows you to keep your momentum moving more quickly forward and keep them to your side or behind you and extend ahead of them. Not to mention, you get all those same benefits closer to the rim. Now here's some more of the unexpected benefits that it'll get you. First of all, it'll allow you to get that 15-foot floater hezzy off. So you can just give a little bit of a slowing down when you get to around that 15-foot range. And if you've hit a couple layups and floaters from that point, defenders are going to respect that and start to think about jumping in front of that shot. And then boom, you can just explode to the rim when they don't see it coming. And the beautiful part about this is it's really easy to sell that, especially if you're able to get that layup off completely one-handed. You don't even really need to bring your offhand next to the basketball because the defender knows you're a threat to just go right up into that shot at any instant, meaning they have to react more quickly to any hesitation that you give. The other thing this does is gives what I like to call the Steph Curry effect. If a defender's really far from you, it's harder to get past them because there's all that dead space between you and them that you have to close before you can even try to get past them. Think about Steph Curry when he's by the 3-point line. If he gives any kind of a hesitation, or even if he doesn't give a hesitation for that matter, what are defenders going to do? They play tighter to him, right? Because they know his shot is a threat. Well, if you've got that 15-foot layup and floater down, defenders are going to have to start to play you a little bit tighter when you're in that 15-foot range because they know you can get that shot off really quick and you're really deadly with it. And now you've opened up new opportunities to just blow by them and go to the rim without even giving hesitations. Okay, so what are the 4 different types of layups and floaters that you should perfect? How should you practice them and how much should you practice them? And then, of course, I'm going to give you that secret to help you instantly make more of these shots. So first of all, for all 4 of these layups and floaters, it's important that you understand that you should be working on these with both hands, and you also want to work on them at different angles. So what I mean by that is coming directly to the front of the rim from a 45-degree angle, and then also fading across the rim and fading directly to the baseline. That'll really help you expand when you're finishing around the rim and even at that 15-foot range. But I'd recommend you just start off with going more direct to the front of the rim, and then from there, expand out into those other options. Now, here's the 4 different types of finishes that you should be working on. The first is to do a 2-foot jump with an overhand finish. This option is great for stopping before you get to a defender so you can finish over them, but to do that, you want to make sure you get that shot off quick and get a nice high arc on it. And for this, you can gather the basketball with two hands, and sometimes I'll even just gather it with one and go directly into this shot. Same thing goes for the other three finishes I'm going to give you. And if you'll notice, most players when they do their floater, it's going to be sort of a knuckleball release. Keep your palm flat and parallel to the ceiling the entire motion and not really use your fingers, and just push it up directly as high as you can with very little rotation. And what that ends up doing is allowing the basketball to kind of drop dead on the rim and kind of bounce around and go in. You'll find more often than not that'll give you a nice soft touch, but I have seen some players that just find it more comfortable and get a better bounce by using more of a shooting release and getting that wrist and finger flick involved. Go with whichever is more comfortable and getting more shots to go in for you. The next three you'll want to work on all are going to be from a 1 foot jump. And the first is to once again do that overhand finish. Again, whatever's more comfortable for you, whether it's the dead hand finish or more of that typical jump shot shooting release, whichever works for you, go with it. This option is better for slightly different game situations than the last one. This one will work a little better if you've got more room to work with in front of you, but at the same time, you don't want to jump too far forward and you got to get a high arcing shot off to get it over a defender. But then at the same time, you might have a defender that's behind you or riding to your side, and you got to keep your momentum going forward. By going into that 1 foot jump, you don't have to stop whatsoever like you do with the 2 foot jump, and you'll be able to get this shot off quicker and while moving forward the whole time. The next type of 1 foot finish you'll want to work on is the underhand release. This is my personal favorite. Whenever I get past the defender, I'll immediately go into this if I see a lot of open space in that 15-foot range, and I'll just get it off nice and quick as I'm a little bit ahead of them or have them to my side and extend in front of them where they can't get to the basketball. The big thing to keep in mind is if you're going to do this one, you don't want to do it with a defender right in front of you unless you're really good at getting that shot off really high and really quick. Like the other ones, there's two kinds of releases you can do. You can do more of that knuckleball dead hand release, or you can do more of a finger roll. I found both get a really nice bounce as long as you have a nice high arc on the shot. I personally prefer the dead hand release, but that finger roll release is really nice when you're close to a defender and you need to get a little bit of extra height on that shot right on the release to get it over their hands. Here's the fourth type of finish, and then I'll tell you how much you should practice and how to practice these floaters. So what this fourth finish is the 1 foot jump going into a sidearm or almost like a hook shot type of finish. This is great if you have a defender more to your side, so that way you have another option to extend the ball way out wide where they can't get to it and get the shot off. Typically, you'll want to have a little bit of a higher arc with this, but you shouldn't need quite as quick of a release. Now here's how you should practice this, and then I'll also give you the way to instantly make more of these shots. You'll want to work on all four of these finishes: the 2 foot overhand, the 1 foot overhand, the 1 foot underhand, and the 1 foot sidearm with both hands. Take 3 shots each hand 3 to 4 times per week. And you'll want to do this at whatever range you're comfortable at. And I'll tell you in a second how to know where you're comfortable at and how to know when to move back. But the reason we're only doing 3 of each of these shots is because I don't want this to take up the bulk of your practice taking these really far layups and floaters. It should not be a main focal point of your entire practice that you're spending like a half an hour on. It should be like 10 to 15 minutes that you knock it out to add something to your game, but you still have time to work on the other parts of your game. Now here's how to know when you're comfortable with each of those shots and when it's time to move back a little further. Keep in mind, this will be different for each of the shots for each of your hands because one hand's gonna be better than the other, and some of these shots are gonna be easier than others. So what I recommend you do is start all of them right next to the rim. And then for any of the shots, when you've made 2 out of 3 shots for that hand for that specific shot, next workout, move back 2 to 3 feet on that shot. Now here's the big tip to instantly help you make more of these shots, and there's 2 parts to it. The first is to get your eyes up early. That's one big mistake I see with a lot of players is when they're going into these floaters and layups, they don't get their eyes to the rim until they basically gathered the basketball, and then it only gives them a split second to lock in and aim. So instead, what I recommend you do is try to get your eyes to the rim before you've picked up the basketball on that last dribble and start zeroing in on where you want to aim. And that brings me to the second big tip, which is what you aim for on the rim. Click that video on the top left of the screen. That goes in depth with what you should aim for. I've seen it help players in seconds make more jump shots, 3-point layups, and floaters. Subscribe and turn on all notifications to catch the newest videos, and I'll see you in that video next.